Welcome to my channel. This is Serge, bringing you another action figure collector's review on Neca's Aliens Rhino Alien. As you can tell by looking at the cover of the box, this is a throwback to the original Kenner toy line, so you're very familiar with this, especially if you're a 90s baby. It brings a lot of nostalgia back to the table. And we will be taking a look at some of the original Kenner action figures aliens in just a little bit. I do not have the Rhino alien, so that's a little bit disappointing. But anyway, if we open up the box right here, you get the alien himself, a nice little product shot. And you also get the alien staring at you through the window. And he's got a little comic book behind him. You can't really see it because it's so dark. But anyway, we'll close that up and we'll look at the alien on this side of the box. It says aliens and it says Rhino Alien. And then up underneath that it says Neca. Over here on this side of the box, it's the same exact thing, just reflected. Over here on the back of the box, you get other figures. Up here at the top of the box, you get aliens. And down here, nothing but the barcode. Let's get to it and open this big beast up. Here he is, the Rhino alien out of the box and freshly out of the Rhino's chest cavity, ready to burst his way onto your screen. And I really do like this figure a lot, but I do have some gripes about it, and we'll get into that in just a second. I just want to take a second to talk about how massively huge this figure is. It makes me jealous in ways of its size, and that's very impressive if you ask me. Now, with it being so tall, it's very top heavy, so it has a tendency to lean rather forward or backwards, so be on the lookout for that. Even if you do get this figure to stand like this, it's probably going to be one of the first figures to topple over in your collection, and that's probably my biggest gripe with this figure. Now, I will give it to Neca because with this size comes a lot of sculpting detailing, and that's very impressive with a figure of this magnitude. Before we get started with this articulation, I'm just going to go ahead and take his dome or his carapace off, and we'll look more into this in the sculpting detailing part. I'm just going to set it to the side so it don't get in the way of articulation, like keep falling off, and that way you get a good look at what he looks like without it on. But go ahead and stand this guy up and we'll get started with the articulation. And right here, as you can tell, his head can look all the way up, which that's very impressive, especially for that Rhino mode. That's what you're going to want him to have. Now looking up side to side, his head does hit these tubes in the back whenever you have him in the Rhino mode. But whenever you have him in the humanoid mode, you can spin his head around in a full exorcist, so that's really impressive. And he does not have no confused dog going on whatsoever, but he does have jaw articulation, and look at that. His little, I guess you would call that a tongue, or his second mouth comes open just like so, and that's very impressive. I like that a lot. His arm can extend that far to the side, which that's pretty impressive for a Rhino. You know, I mean, he doesn't have to be anything fancy. And right here, he's got very impressive double jointed elbows. And he does have a swivel right there at that elbow. He does have a swivel and a hinge right here at that wrist. And his fingers / toes are articulated, so that's very nice, especially for that Rhino mode. And if you look, his torso is articulated, and you get pretty good movement, pretty good range out of that. He goes that far to that side, and this plastic piece keeps hitting that, but he can go a little bit further. You just gotta move it around. And right here, he can crunch forward that far, and he can go back that far, that's very impressive, especially going backwards. Right here, we'll move his arms up out of the way, just like so. And his legs can split out, not the greatest, but he's a Rhino, so you don't want him to do like them Spider-Man splits. And his leg can actually go to the inside, so that's very nice, especially for the Rhino pose. And I sound like a broken record whenever I'm talking about that. His leg can spin around a full 360, but this spiky part does hit the rib cage right in through here, so be on the lookout for that. He's got very impressive double jointed knees that bend in just like so. He can do the perfect ballerina with his ankle, and he can move it all the way up, and you do get a little bit of ankle pivot in there. And he's got very impressive articulation for a figure of this size. It's time to look at this guy's ugly mug and his sculpting detailing right here. And first of all, we'll take a look at the carapace. Go ahead and get it out of the way because it likes to fall off so easily. And right through here, it's a translucent yellow plastic, but it's also got like this smoking effect going through it that fades. So that's very impressive. I like what Neca did there. And it's got sculpted rouge line work right through here. And it continues over here on this other side, and it's like a reflection. And going down through the seam or the center of the carapace or his dome, whatever you like to call it. He's got a nice little sculpted line through there, and it's got more sculpted lines going through there, making it look very insect-like. And right through here, you get the vein works, and it's reflected as well on this side. So that's very nice. I enjoy that a lot. And we'll take a look at this figure himself, and man, is he an intimidating looking creature. And that's very, very nice. I like what they did with their sculpting and the amount of detailing that they put into this figure. Now, this right here, it's a little hard to tell on my camera and my lighting, but it is a lighter gray right through here, but it's got a wash over it, making it look a little bit darker. And this is a straight up black color right there. Now, his head is a translucent orange plastic right there. That kind of looks like a sack in a weird little way, but that's actually his brain. So that's very nice and very impressive. I love the amount of translucent orange plastic that they used on this figure. And this is kind of like a cranberry color on the back of the scalp or the skull right here. So that's very nice. I like how that fades. I mean, the figure kind of pops with it, and it kind of really flows itself right through here. I like the sculpt line work in his mouth right there. I like his teeth that you're seeing in there. I like these longer teeth that you're seeing. I guess they would be considered his canine teeth. And right there, you can wiggle them around a little bit, and you can get that second mouth to pop out just like so. And right through here is sculpted line work as well. So Neck has really knocked it out of the park whenever it comes to that. And he even has extra teeth going on the inside of that. So that's very, very nice. And you can even have his mouth closed with that second mouth out. So, that's another way of posing him around. We'll slide that back in there and take a look at this figure. And he looks very insect-like. Like his exoskeleton is covering his whole entire body. And that is very impressive what Neck is able to do with this. And making the translucent orange plastic just pierce through the other colors, making it really pop. Now, I do like the sculpt work on the rib cage. This is probably one of my favorite sculpt works on this figure, is probably the rib cage, maybe the face. But looks very, very good throughout, and it pleases me. I like the way that his legs are designed so you can get him in that rhino pose, and I like how this extra comes down. It gives him like an insect look as well. So it just pops and makes this figure look even better. Right here, his tail is right there in between his legs, but it's very pointy. This figure will eat your hands alive, as pointy and spiky as it is. But I like the tubes on the back of the figure. It's very impressive. Now, they didn't paint the back of the figure as much, but I'm okay with that, because I really do like the amount of translucent plastic. And whenever you put them in the Rhino mode, you hardly notice that. So I'm not displeased at all with that. But his toes will poke you and everything else. But that was a good look at the Rhino aliens sculpt and detailing. And just so you can get an idea of how big this Rhino alien actually is, here's how he scales next to the Unchained Armored Superman over there on his left. And over there on his right, we have the Batman Who Laughs. And that's from McFarlane's 7-inch scale of action figures. And these are really two tall figures in his line. versus this really tall alien, and this alien towers over those two figures. So that's very impressive what Neca has done here, and he kind of makes these two look like shrimps, even though they're really big action figures. In Rhino mode, here's how the Rhino alien scales next to McFarlane Toys. Unchained armored Superman over there on the left, and over there on the right we have the Batman who laughs. And this figure is very impressive, and I love the scaling that they used with this figure. He's really tall whenever he stands in his humanoid form, and right here he's very impressive as well in Rhino form. And just in case you didn't believe me on the pure size of this Rhino alien, here's how he scales up against a couple of NECA action figures from the same company. Over there on the left, from the 1990s GameStop exclusive Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles action figure line, we have the Foot Soldier, and over there on the right from the same line we have the Shredder, and he makes these two look like small children compared to him. So from NECA, here's how the Rhino alien scales next to a couple of GameStop exclusive 1990s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We have the Foot Soldier over there on the left, and over there on the right from the same line we have the Shredder. How the Rhino alien scales next to a couple Kenner action figure aliens. Over there on his left we have the Canine alien, and over there on his right we have the Mantis alien. And these were originally my childhood action figures, and these were very impressive figures for their time, and they still look nice to today, but they have nothing compared to this Rhino alien. Here's how that massive Rhino scales next to a couple of Hasbro action figures from the Power Rangers Lightning Collection line. We have the Walgreens exclusive Dragon Shield Black Power Ranger over there on his left. And from Marvel Legends, we have the Superior Octopus. My final thoughts on this figure. In Rhino mode, this thing is a beast. I really do enjoy it. I love messing around with it, and I love posing it around. And it's really fun figure to own. Now, standing it up in its humanoid form is very tricky to do. It's like one of the first figures that would fall over in your collection. That's very frustrating, as far as they should have put peg holes or something at the bottom of this thing's feet so you could be able to put them on a stand and have them stand freely. Now, the balance is kind of hard to balance him as well. So, that's just my only gripe about this figure, is getting him to stand in his humanoid form. But it's a Rhino alien, so who's going to have him standing up anyway? But let me know what you think of the figure. Let me know what you think of the review in the comments below. And as always, feel the urge to collect with Serge. If you want more action figure collectors reviews, then feel the urge to subscribe to Serge. And if you've liked what you've seen, then click that big thumbs up button. If you want to get notified of my latest videos whenever they drop, click that notification bell. If you want to see this channel grow, share with a friend. Speaking of friends, you can friend me over there on Facebook. Links to that will be in the description below. You can also follow me along on Twitter. Links to that will be in the description below. That's my way of living. Ain't nobody gonna tell me otherwise.